Welcome to the Unsleever. Today I'm continuing with a series of videos about Mariah Carey leading up to her 16th studio album, Here For It All, which is due out September 26. If you haven't yet, you can watch my 90s singles ranking that I did a few weeks ago. In this video, I'll be ranking her 2000s output. I find this decade quite interesting as there were many challenges that she had to overcome, and it's probably the decade that cemented her status as a legend. It's been quite difficult to rank this, but this is where I stand at this moment in time. No Whitney pun intended. This ranking is my personal opinion, but let me know in the comments how would you rank her 2000 singles, and subscribe for more Mariah content in the upcoming weeks. Okay, so I'm starting the ranking with I Stay in Love. You know, I don't hate it, but it's the 20th copy of We Belong Together and I'm not really here for it. It does have one of the funniest misheard lyrics ever though, but the main issue I have is that I feel quite indifferent to it, and I never feel that way with Mimi music. I have to be in the right mood for Get Your Number. I always confuse this one with To The Floor because Jermaine Dupri sounds like Nelly to me, but Nelly is actually on To The Floor and not on Get Your Number. Anyway, it's confusing, but it's still a cute bop with an amazing video. Bye Bye is a song that I connect to thematically, but there are parts of it I don't like. While I really enjoy the emotion in the verses, I really can't stand the chant part where she's naming basically everyone, like we're going to party at the cemetery or something. But anyways, the verses where she talks about her dad and the pre-chorus melody are both gorgeous. Released as a single in Japan, Reflections Caring Off is one of the few ballads Mariah has released that isn't about a romantic relationship. I find the lyrics quite powerful and it has a beautiful melody. This song from Glitter recalled her previous 90s ballads, but with a more mature twist. Before I continue with my ranking, if you enjoy my videos, YouTube is rolling out a new feature that can help small creators like me get more exposure and reach more people. It's called Hype, and if it's available in your country, you can find it on the mobile app by swiping left on the comment section. Your support is greatly appreciated. Alright, let's continue. I am a Did I Do That Truther, her other collaboration with Mystical, so I'm also a big fan of this one. I just wish she would have had more verses on it as she seems like a guest on her own song, but the video is a lot of fun and I love the moment with the three Mariahs. If you were around the time of release, you will remember that Boy I Need You came out too close to the song it samples or reworks, Cameron's Oh Boy. These two songs were basically half a year apart, and Oh Boy was a huge hit. So when Mariah released it as a single, it was a bit confusing as the other song had already died down a bit. In any case, we got a great video out of it, and I think it's a cute pop. There was a time when Hate You would have been higher on my ranking, but I have lost a bit of love for the song over the past years. I still think it's amazing and I find the slowing down of the pre-chorus quite inspired. A very unusual moment in Mariah's discography. I also love the remix and we need it on streaming like yesterday. The last single and number one from the Emancipation of Mimi is a song I was not fond of for a while, but I have warmed up to it in recent years. I still prefer Everything Above It. This duet with A Dream was a precursor to the Memoirs album, and I have always loved it. I think Mariah sounds amazing and it has a great hook as well. I think it should have been a bigger hit, and I also love her styling on the music video. Another collaboration, Little Love, featuring Bone Thugs-n-Harmony and Bow Wow is such a banger. Every collaboration from Mariah with Bone Thugs-n-Harmony is great, and for this one we even got a music video. I think it's one of the catchiest choruses of a Mariah single during this decade. Mariah's cover of I Want to Know What Love Is beautiful, although I think she takes a safer approach to it than with other covers she's done. But her voice sounds gorgeous and the build up to the climax is great. I think this could have been a bigger hit for Mariah in the US and Europe. However, Brazil was stunning hard for this song, which stayed at number one for 27 weeks and became the longest running number one in the country. Quite impressive. It's not often that we hear Mariah with just a guitar in the background, but I have to say I love it. This song and her cover of Help Me Make It Through the Night are two of the best hidden gems in her discography. Her voice just soars in this simple instrumentation, and I wish she had done a couple more in this vein throughout her career. Even though I love this song, especially the lyrics and Mariah's vocal performance, I find the production a bit cheesy. Out of her two collaborations with Diane Warren, I prefer There For Me though. But anyway, the highlight of this single release for me is the Morales Revival Triumphant remix, which is one of her best remixes ever. I have such a soft spot for Through the Rain, and I think it sadly had too much weight on it as a single, because it was the first one after the Glitter debacle, and there was a whole narrative around it. I think as a single it just had unrealistic expectations, but as a song it's beautiful and one of her best inspirational ballads. She looked gorgeous in the video, and I enjoy the narrative that is loosely inspired by her parents' story in the same year that her dad passed away. That scene with her surrounded by the sunflowers during the climax is one of her most emotive scenes in a music video, if you know what sunflowers symbolize for Mariah. Shake It Off is one of her most fun bops, and despite having her usual mix of hip-hop and R&B, it was a departure in sound for Mariah. She was tackling the sound of that era helmed by Jermaine Dupri and his work in Usher's Confessions album the year before. This is another song that took me a bit to warm up to, but I really love it now. Classic Mimi and one of her best videos. This collaboration with Busta Rhymes is a classic. It was so successful that it was added as a bonus track to reissues of the Charmbracelet album and also included on the remixes a little bit later. I think this song and Jada Kiss's You Make Me Wanna laid the groundwork for the success of the Emancipation of Mimi. And by the way, I haven't really included You Make Me Wanna as part of the ranking, as she is not so prominently included in the song, but I think I would rank it around the same as I Know What You Want. Cry Baby has some of Mariah's most iconic lyrics, like the opening line or the chorus that includes the expression "on my tippy toes so that he don't know." I love this song, and I think it could have been a big hit for her if the label had supported the song. This was released as a double-sided single with Can't Take That Away, and the cover is only on the backside for the vinyl edition. I know there is a lot going on in this song, but to me, this is what makes it special. At almost 7 minutes, the song just wanders around. She took In Deep's original and made a version that kept the main instrumental elements and turned it into what feels like a chaotic party where everyone is talking on top of each other. I love it. This was an early favorite from Glitter, and it has stayed that way. It was released as a promo single and even has a music video that I wish would get remastered at some point, because I've never seen it in good quality. This French vinyl promo has a radio edit at 3 minutes 50 for those who can't stand the full 7 minutes. Mariah worked with Jermaine Dupri sort of last minute for the Emancipation of Mimi album, and before those songs were created, this was supposed to launch the era. I wonder how the album would have fared had this been the lead single. I really love it. I think it is one of her sharpest productions of this decade, and the single also came with great remixes, with the David Morales one being a massive highlight. The last single released from the very underrated Charmbracelet was this unexpected cover of Def Leppard's song Bring It On The Heartbreak. Mariah did an amazing job in making this rock ballad her own, and two members of Def Leppard gave their stamp of approval to her version. For me, it was an early fave from Charmbracelet. She sounds amazing, the whistle tone at the end is a magical moment, and I also love the music video. From the first time I heard this song, I loved its summery vibe, the production, and how carefree the lyrics and vocals are. This should have been a much bigger hit. For some reason, it always reminded me of You Know by Mary J. Blige from her retrospective album, but they don't really sound similar, so I don't know why my mind went there. But anyways, I love this song so much, and I don't think the single version needed TI. I prefer the solo version. Loverboy might be her most misunderstood single. It follows the pattern of her previous lead singles, but I think it adds something new and doesn't sound like any other Mariah song. I think this may be due to the Candy sample. I am a huge fan of this camp classic, and I prefer this version to the Firecracker one, but I'm still glad we got to hear it so many years later. The rap verses also add to the song, but it's sad that it is connected to such a hard time in Mariah's life. This song will never not be iconic. It is one of her most hard-hitting productions, and we all know who those lyrics are about. I think it's a great companion piece to Clown. It is so good that it has become one of her most popular songs in the streaming era years after it was released. It introduced some new elements to her music, with the most obvious one being autotune being used prominently in the song. I love this cover of the Phil Collins classic. It is a gorgeous ballad and she sounds incredible. I am placing her solo version at number 6, but the Westlife version that got her a number 1 in the UK would be much lower on my list. I don't know her, I don't like the new production at all, and I think they don't add anything to the song. It is such an isolated song lyrically that it feels odd to have it as a duet. I didn't really get this song at first. I guess it sounded too fluffy for me at the time, but here we are at number 5. The lyrics are so playful and so Mariah, and it has such a strong melody. It's impossible not to love it. It has proven its endurance as one of her catchiest and most fun songs. Plus points for the amazing music video that is cheeky and funny. I know I've said iconic many times in this video, but this song is the definition of it. There are so many elements that are ingrained in my mind. The clapping in the intro, her coming through those doors like a goddess in the VH1 performance, the entirety of the music video. The whole thing is just perfection. It was an amazing way of starting her comeback era. I have seen her live 3 times and I can confirm that this song pops off live. It should never ever leave her set list. The long-lost classic, Never Too Far, should have been one of her biggest ballads and probably her last truly 90s sounding single. I always paid more attention to Lead the Way on the album, which is one of my favorite Mariah ballads, but Never Too Far has earned its spot as one of her most heartfelt ballads. It is very nostalgic when I listen to it, and to me the climax feels like waving goodbye to her 90s decade before a new resurgence. I gained new appreciation for it when she sang it live on the Caution tour. I'm not religious, but this song makes me believe in God. This is how hard I ride for Fly Like a Bird. Despite only being a promo single, I think it's one of her most beloved songs. It's an inspirational gospel ballad with out-of-this-world vocals. I know that studio in Capri was in flames after she recorded it. The last part of the song with the Carry Me Higher and the final climax is truly a religious experience. And of course, it couldn't be any other at number 1. This song is monumental, but I have something to confess. For the first few years, I didn't care for it. I was not used to this type of ballad with a beat from Mariah, and I wasn't a huge fan of this type of sound at the time, so I basically ignored it for a long time while the US was losing it over this song. But I eventually came to my senses and realized what a masterpiece this is. It was also the first of its kind, and many have tried to replicate the sound, Mariah included. I love everything about We Belong Together, literally no notes. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you haven't yet, subscribe for the next ranking where I will be covering her 2010s and 2020s singles, including her latest ones from Here For It All. And in the meantime, you can watch my other Mariah videos through a playlist I have created called Just for Lambs. Thanks for watching, see you next time.